Well, Matt, it is time to talk defense, and the most familiar guy in the defense right now is the third-year defensive coordinator, Chuck Bullough. And Chuck, you are most familiar because there's been so much turnover on your unit. How different is preparing for this year than last year when you had so much coming back a year ago?
It definitely was a senior-laden defense last year. This year, 8 of the 11 stars are gone. So the development of the younger players has been going great. They worked really hard in the offseason and in the training camp. And we're looking for special things out of them. We don't lower the bar. If you're a freshman or a senior, it doesn't matter. You got to perform.
With the young guys, how much did it help that maybe they weren't playing a lot last year, but they were here and they were still a part of that very successful unit you had last year?
Yes, and I also believe they had great leadership of that senior class leaving. Those were some great seniors that really were tough, hard work, and practice hard. Showed those kids how to get prepared during the week for a game. So I think that helped them out tremendously of watching those older veterans.
So often that is the case. It is veteran leadership, and guys like Cam Lynch and Dyshawn Davis and that linebacking core last year really led the way. This year it maybe still is the linebackers, but Zaire Franklin seems to have really grabbed this thing. He's only a sophomore. When did he step up and really take control and become a leader of this defense?
This past offseason. We had a talk with him and said, you know, this is one of those teams that we don't really have a leader right now. We have to develop them, and we've picked you to start developing. And he grabbed hold of it and ran with it, and he's done an excellent job. Amazing
to see that happen because he didn't really burst onto the scene in games, at least, until maybe the last month of the season when he got in the starting lineup.
Yes, and when Hodge went down, he jumped in and he had a command. That's all you're always worried about a freshman, is he going to be able to command the huddle? And he took over and set the front and was loud, crisp, and clear, and the guys respected him. So right then we said, okay, we got our middle linebacker for the future.
All right, he's the leader, but even Zaire has said probably the best player on your defense is Ron Thompson. What can he do moving back to the outside of the defensive line this year?
Ron Thompson's the most athletic. He can do flips in the air. I mean, he's an athletic guy. We had to play him out of position because we didn't have D tackles last year, so he had to go inside a little bit at the end, but mostly a lot inside. He's an edge player. He's not an inside player because he can use his athleticism and speed instead of having to lock up with the big boys.
All right, Chuck, one last thought here as we wrap up. Let's go to the back end of the defense as Ron's got you set up on the front. The secondary's had a lot of turnover this year. What do you expect out of that group?
I expect great things out of it because we still have some older corners that have played. And then we have 2 freshmen, Dowells and Hudson, and they can push, they can play. They played really well in the spring, and they've continued their progress. Safety's the spot where we haven't had any production. There's just been, Rodney was hurt last year. Chauncey got to play a little bit, and Cordy was at a corner last year. Now he's playing inside at safety. So that's going to be a trial by fire. It's easy to go through practices and everything, but when it comes to a game, you got to just make sure that the bright lights don't hit them. But I feel very confident. They're very confident safeties, and I think they'll perform well.
All right, Chuck, as always, looking forward to seeing your group out on the field this year.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, that is the defense.